I'm here to talk about fire retardant today and different materials. I really don't like going back to these standards that look at old textile standards. And most of the standards that you see out today are pulled from textile standards, and the testing and everything is based on that versus sort of real-world application. The reality is when you're fire retarding a net, you're putting some treatment on the surface of the net, and you're looking for that to not wash out. You're looking for pollutants in the environment and everything not to affect it. You can find the perfect balance to that, and this is an example of some white mesh that we supply. Now there's a large-scale test and a small-scale test. If you do a small-scale test, a lot of times what will happen is the flame will consume the sample, and the results will be it failed because it consumed the flame. In a larger-scale test, it gives more area for the net to burn out. So let's take this net and let's go ahead and put a flame underneath it. So here I'm putting a flame underneath it and I'm starting it on fire. I'm allowing it to do that burn out where I'm actually propagating it with the flame. Then I'm going to remove the flame, and as you can see, the material self-extinguished. That's really what we're looking for. We're looking for something to self-extinguish and to not do it. The other thing is most of the tests are done in this vertical plane versus the horizontal plane. Now I've set the sample up so it's hanging, maybe what you would see underneath a roller coaster or something. We're going to do the same thing. I'm going to put the flame underneath it, and I'm going to start a fire. But as you can see, what's happening is I'm basically just melting a hole within it because I have very little area, meaning I don't have a lot of mesh area that's going to be able to propagate from the side. So it goes out very quickly. So this is an example of the type of fire retardants that we put out as Bakuda Leading Edge. One thing to understand is these treatments can be in short supply, and they're also very expensive. So most all companies cut corners with it, and they don't really want you to know the truth. I'm going to take this material here. This isn't our material, this is another manufacturer's material, but let me do the same test on it where I put a flame underneath it, and let's see what happens with the material. Again, fire retardant can be very expensive. So you can start to see here what's happening is that I'm not doing anything differently than I did before. What I'm having is a propagation of the flame, and I'm going to have a lot of dripping and other things coming off of it. It did self-extinguish, so it passed that part, but as you can see, it allowed it to propagate a lot more than the other material. So rather than it really self-extinguishing quickly, now if I tested this in an NFPA 701 large-scale test, what I'm going to find is that it passed the test because I allowed it to do it. They're just going to talk about how long it took that blob to self-extinguish. So they're right now counting seconds until that goes away. That doesn't pass my standards, but it passes some standards. It can get much worse. Okay, now I'm coming from underneath the material in that horizontal plane. I'm redoing that test that I just did with the white mesh. You can see that I'm getting a whole different outcome. Now, one of the things that you'd have to ask yourself with this too is, do you have any debris in the net? Is that paper or other item going to catch fire? So what you're getting here is you're getting somebody that's selling a net as a commodity. Now you've got to ask yourself, is this commodity net something that you want in your facility? At what point is that flame going to go out? You can see that eventually it does self-extinguish, but you can also see that I've had a lot of dripping matter coming down onto the table. Now here's an example of some material that I purchased from overseas. It's the polypropylene, and what I'm getting with it is I'm getting a material that is not exactly fire retardant. If you take a close look at this, you can see that what's happening is it's continuing to flame. It's flaming out, it's going to consume the whole product. Now imagine if you had your high-rise building wrapped in a material that you're happy with. If you look at the flame real closely, you can see that it seems like it's starting to go away. And then all of a sudden what you get is you get this nice fire show. It would be a good thing for me to film without the lights on because it would be very pretty. I don't think you would find it that pretty on your building or on your amusement site or other area. So when you're looking for netting and fire retardancy in a company with an integrity and quality, I think you know where to look. Bakuda Leading Edge brands are always certified and safe to use in the job site or in the amusement park, because I sure wouldn't want to see this falling on the streets or on some child down below. Stay safe.